Welcome everyone to my SH Figuarts comparison of the 4 figures, as I have all of them from the main Avengers movie titles. And Bandai did actually release 6 4 figures in total, including the Thor Ragnarok as well as the Endgame Final Battle edition. But today we're going to be just taking a look at the 4 original versions from the Avengers movies. So from left to right is the order of release: the Age of Ultron version, Infinity War, Endgame, and the latest release, the Assemble version. And in this video, really just going to be talking about each one, the good points, the bad points, and I'll just give you my opinion on which one I like the most. Now, logically, you would think the newer the figure, the better, but I guess that's not always the case, since sometimes you like the looks of the older figures from the older movies, and maybe he has an accessory that you prefer and they didn't have it in the new one. So I'm going to talk through them, of course, going back to the very first release, and that was the Age of Ultron. And this was released in 2015 when the movie was out. And at this time, Bandai were actually quite new to making SH Figuarts. This was their first line for the Avengers. And you can tell that it's a bit of an outdated figure now, since the sculpt isn't as good as the newer ones. And even though it has the look of him from the 2015 movie with the sleeveless, I feel it's the weakest out of the collection. And if you look at the Hulk figure as well as the Captain America, they both kind of had this animated style to it. I think for Thor, not so much, but you can tell that they've definitely improved over the years. And what I don't like about this figure is the hard plastic cape. This is something they don't really do now. I guess they had it for the Doctor Strange figure, which of course they improved on. So this kind of gets in the way, and it's something that I like to take off because it kind of gets in the way for the posing. But if you like this look of Thor from the Age of Ultron, I guess you gotta get it. As for the proportions, I don't think it's quite accurate, and also the alternate eyes was something a bit weird for a figure. So they didn't give us any face sculpts or head sculpts. They actually gave us interchangeable eyes, which is a bit annoying to do. So it's something I don't really focus too much on. I do like the accessories. It does come with the Mjolnir, and also this part where it's for the flight pose when he's holding on to the Mjolnir. So that was quite creative from them. But other than that, I don't think it's the best figure in the Age of Ultron line, and it's certainly not the best one in the Thor line. So I'm going to leave that to the side now, and then we'll focus on the Infinity War version, which was a massive improvement. So years later, Tamashii Nations experienced in making MCU characters, and by this time, of course, Chris Hemsworth changed up his look. He earned the right to go for whatever look he wanted, and of course that was the short hair he cut in Thor Ragnarok. And a lot of people do actually like this look of Thor. They actually consider this as his most iconic one from the MCU. It's a bit different to what we see in the Marvel comics, but I guess by this time he could have done whatever he wanted. And they even removed the Mjolnir, of course, giving us the Stormbreaker. So this one was probably the most iconic one in some people's eyes, I guess. And I think the face sculpt is a massive improvement to the Age of Ultron one. If we just take a look, of course, different hairstyles, but you can tell Tamashii Nations have improved a lot in the way they sculpted their characters. And then for the armor, of course, you get the full black, and then it has kind of like a shine to it. Obviously the biggest improvement to me is the cape. It's a long cloth material, although there's no bands inside. I like this a lot better. Now there is competition from the Mafex version, which of course is actually better in some people's eyes, because that included a lot of the lightning effects, the alternate head sculpt, and I think you could have removed the cape as well. So in terms of your money was worth, you'll probably go for the Mafex version. But as a SH Figuarts collector, of course I went for the SHF version. So it's a decent version, but I guess they could have given us something like an alternate head sculpt, maybe some lightning effects. But in terms of the sculpt, of course this is a good figure, and they've certainly improved on the proportions. I think it's a lot more movie accurate. And then we can move on to the third figure, and that is the Avengers Endgame, which of course Thor changed up his look again. And you can tell, because this was known as the Fat Thor, with the belly, and obviously he went back to the old style, which is the long hair, the beard. And to me, this is actually a really good figure. Now, Tamashii Nations, again, by the time they got to Endgame, have a lot of experience in making the MCU characters, and in terms of the face sculpt, again, I would say it's an improvement to the Infinity War version. So they've definitely stepped up their game. And even though this is meant to be the same armor, there are some slight differences. I think the Endgame version is slightly more shiny, especially along the arms. And other than that, it's pretty much similar. The capes are both in a cloth material. Again, it doesn't have the band. Now, a lot of people, of course, obviously wanted lightning effects, alternate head sculpts, and that is something they did in the final battle edition. So if you want that, you have to get the second version. Me personally, of course, obviously I prefer extra accessories, but when it comes to this figure, I guess I'm just gonna have to settle with it since I already got this version. And you do get the Stormbreaker again, and it's actually a different one to the Infinity War, just in case you're wondering. I think the Infinity War one is slightly smaller and it's slightly darker in the shading, and I'm not too sure what the reason is. So they've actually not given us the same Stormbreaker. And the other thing is you get a Mjolnir, which is actually different from the Age of Ultron version. You can see the band at the end is a lot longer on the older version. So again, this is something that I wish they gave us lightning effects on, which I think the Mafex version will get. So if you want a better version of the Endgame Thor, you're probably gonna have to buy the Final Battle Edition. And then the latest release, which I reviewed recently, is the Avengers Assemble. And to me, this is the most accurate to the Marvel comics in terms of his attire, and then of course just the classic hairstyle. And I really like this look of Thor. It's not just the colors and sculpts and the face sculpt. You can take a look at the cloth material of the cape. They've actually used a band this time, so the sides and the bottom have a band. And what it is you can create these articulation for certain poses. So the only gripe I have with this is it's too short. If I put it next to the Infinity War and Endgame, and even the Age of Ultron version, you can see it doesn't even reach the ground, so it's way too short for my liking. But obviously it's better since it has the band. And then if we take a look at the face sculpt, I feel that Tamashii Nations are just improving on the 4 faces each year. And if we just go back to all of them, you can see that the Age of Ultron is the weakest. It gets good on the Infinity War, and then obviously the Endgame version is really nice as well. And then we have the Assemble one, which I think is the best one out of all of them. I'm not sure about you, but I feel they've done the best one for a Chris Hemsworth face. Now, the only disappointing thing is all 4 of these figures don't actually come with a alternate head sculpt. For the Age of Ultron, it was the alternate eyes. Infinity War and Endgame, we didn't get any, apart from the Final Battle Edition. This one we got an alternate face, which was just eyes looking to the side. Again, a bit disappointing. So that's the only gripe I have with the Tamashii Nations figures, is the alternate faces are just not enough. And if we take a look at the accessories, of course we have the Mjolnir, and if you're wondering, it is different to the Infinity War. Sorry, not Infinity War, it's different to the Endgame version. It's a lot shorter for some reason. And then this is the Age of Ultron version. So the Infinity War one obviously didn't have the Mjolnir. And looking at it, for some particular reason, they've just made it shorter. I'm actually not too sure which one is the right size. And looking at it, I just feel the Assemble one might be a bit too small. But what we get for this is obviously we have the lightning effects for the first time on a Mjolnir, if you're not including the Final Battle Edition. So this is a really nice addition, which I think should work really well with the Assemble. And something else we've never seen before is the spinning Mjolnir, which I think is a really nice accessory, and it'll probably be my main pose for this Assemble version. So that is my quick comparison and discussion on the SH Figuarts 4 figures from the 4 main Avengers team-up movies. So in my opinion, I do like the Avengers Assemble one simply because of the look, the sculpt and the accessories. Then it's the Infinity War one, then the Endgame, then the Age of Ultron. Of course, if I do pick up the Endgame Final Battle Edition, that could certainly challenge the Assemble one. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment and subscribe. I'm almost at 2,000 and I would really appreciate it if I hit that landmark. And of course, you can stay tuned for more toy news, reviews and hunts, more so related to the Marvel and SH Figuarts. And if you haven't already, be sure to check out my review of the 4 Avengers Assemble, and then of course other videos I've done as well recently. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.